track this. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. So I'm coming to you from the upper Midwest. I live in Wisconsin on a small farm. I've been certified organic since 1989. I was one of the original people that helped start Organic Valley. Actually came up with the very unique name, Organic Valley. So I have a unique background in that I was the first marketing person for Organic Valley, did the marketing for about 9 years. I get dirt under my fingernails as an organic farmer. I've been an active organic inspector since 1992. I've trained organic inspectors, and I've moved a lot into educating farmers currently. So I've been doing that for about 15 years. But meanwhile, I still keep doing everything else. So I don't know how, but I do. So I see a kind of a unique perspective, and I really want to talk about trying to be as inclusive as we can in our message. So I've been on a lot of organic farms. I've talked to a lot of organic consumers. I understand the marketplace and the need for people to feel that they, need to make a living. And you're going to see some things, both, I think we're going to be hitting upon the same issues as I was, watching other people's slides and what they're talking about, right? I care about the earth, and that's why we're in this. We know we share this beautiful blue marble, and that organic farming really respects life, understands that interdependency we have with all living things, both below the soil line and above. And we have a really positive message. And in my time working with organic farmers, I've been on many organic farms where it's their first organic inspection. And I would always say to them, so why did you go organic? And I would say it's a significant portion, maybe 30%, would say that there had been sickness in their family, or there had been sickness in their neighborhood. And I'm talking about, out in Iowa and Wisconsin, Michigan, Kansas, Missouri, big tracts of land, and many generations of farmers. Many farmers also talked to that they understood about the dead zone at the base of the Mississippi River. And even though I'm at that upper Mississippi River region, we realize that what we're doing there is affecting the shrimp farmers down in the Gulf of Mexico. And they didn't want to contribute to that degradation. They also recognized that there was a chemical treadmill, that once you start killing off soil bacteria, when you go in and you kill insects, you're not only killing the problem insects, you're killing the beneficials. And that just leads to needing to use more and more and stronger chemicals. And we know that to be true. We've seen that already with Roundup and the superweeds, and now we're moving on to, who would ever thought, 2,4-D and dicamba, known carcinogens that really we don't want to be using. And the farmers really know that. And unfortunately, I wish that the consumers knew more about what was going on in agriculture, because they would be shaking their fists and saying, how could we be spraying Agent Orange all over our land? I was also very impressed that many farmers would say that they were sick of Monsanto running their farm, that they just didn't like, this independent streak that many farmers have, that they didn't want the multinational corporations basically owning them, and they didn't want to really be farming by phone. They basically just call up the co-op. The guy comes out, takes a soil test. They come out and they spread the chemical fertilizer. Then you plant the crop, and then they come out and spray what they say. And then at the end of the year, you bring in your crop, and they give you what little is left after you paid them for all the chemicals that they put on your land. A lot of farmers, too, wanted to be able to earn a better price on a small acreage. And there really is nothing wrong about wanting to make a living from your farm. So, the hydroponic people are saying, well, this is the best way I know how to make a living. And, I just think they're quite misguided. And lastly, there's a whole group of organic farmers that just love organic farming for the opportunity of learning. It's so exciting to really feel a partner with nature and all the different things that you learn over time about your place on the planet and what you can do to continually improve it. I spend a lot of time out in fields with farmers. And, I'm wondering, when I'm looking at their crops, what are they thinking? Maybe they're just thinking about the money. But you know what? If that brings them to organic farming, I think that's good. If they need to start out. But I'll tell you, if they don't fully embrace the organic foundational principles, they won't be in it for long because they won't be successful. And when Jean-Paul was just talking about the shovel, there's times when I've been out, done a first-year organic inspection, and the farmer's like, well, I'm just going to kind of get into it, it's such a better price. And then I show up at that farm again maybe 4 years later, because I never know when I'm going to be assigned to a farm. And the farmer is so excited to see me because they're kind of like, wow, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe all the earthworms I have now. You should see all the birds that are living in my fields. And I'm just so excited. And he throws a shovel in the back of the truck, and I'm there as the inspector, and I'm thinking, I've got another inspection in 4 hours, and I'm never going to get off this farm. And then when they say to me, we're gonna dig up in my field, and then we're gonna go over to the conventional farmer's field, and we're gonna dig in that field too. And I'm like, no, I'm here representing the government. I can't be trespassing on the neighbor's farm and digging up in their field. But I know what you're trying to show me. He's like, we're going to dig up my corn plants, and I'm going to show you my roots. And then we're going to go over there. We're going to dig up his plants, and he's got nothing. And I'm just like, I know. But those are the people, but he came to organic because of the money. But he stayed because he saw the benefits. And that's where we have to go. And that's our positive message. So, as Lindsay said, this is the actual definition in the USDA organic regulation for organic, and it doesn't say anything about not using synthetic chemicals. This is about integrating cultural, biological, and mechanical practices that foster the cycling of resources, promotes ecological balance, and conserves biodiversity. And so when I teach organic farmers, I say, what does this mean to you? How can this be? We will not achieve this on all of our farms, but what a wonderful goal to reach for. So a lot of owner-operators, and I think really what we're finding here now is that the higher price has brought in the kind of industrial corporate model into organic, and really offers a great danger to the owner-operator, because it's the owner-operator who has that long-term vision for their land, passing it on to their family. And even if they don't have family to pass it on to, they want to feel that every year they're making improvement on their land, just as Jean-Paul showed on his little graph there. And organic can offer a differentiation in the marketplace. This morning when I was taking a shower, I opened up my bar of soap and it said Vermont Organic Solutions Soap, right? So the word organic means something to people. I looked at there was something that had some ingredients on it, not a single organic ingredient in there. So was I going to be the organic policeman? No. But the point is that we already have a word that means something. But it's true that the USDA, and especially under this administration, has very much narrowed our focus to what they think we should be looking at, and has narrowed the focus from the bigger picture of what organic is to just a substitution of acceptable inputs. One thing that I do have that I'm afraid that we in the organic world can tend to do is that we can see the problems that the other side has, and we sometimes exaggerate the worst to make a point. But we don't really need to do that. We should have integrity in what we are saying as well. There's no reason that what they're already doing in the other part of agriculture is causing us problems that we want to try to fix. Instead, we really need to be exploring ways to be inclusive to others and to listen to their concerns. I'm part of the National Organic Coalition, which has environmental groups, retailers, wholesalers, and manufacturers, farmer groups. And believe me, when we sit around and talk about organic issues, we do not all agree. But we find a way to understand where each other is coming from and find a way to find a compromise that meets all of our needs. And of course, when we come together on a tough position, it usually has a very strong foundation because it's taken into account everyone's needs. Consumers need to be able to afford food, right? We should be trying to not just only sell to the elite. We need to make our practices available to all and to listen and understand the cultural and social values that people bring and how to reach them. And of course, I learned a lot on my high school debating team that you use other people's concerns and then frame your position to meet their concerns. So then all of a sudden they have to agree with you because you're meeting their concerns. Like I said too, share personal stories that are positive, and not just only focus on the negative. Organic is just can result in just an abundance of wildlife and beauty. The methods that we do of encouraging biodiversity, the incredible tools that nature provides of parasitic wasps, eating the worms, releasing beneficial insects. And you talk to consumers about that, they're in wonder. But then when you look at the hydroponic side, where is the biodiversity? Where are they encouraging more beneficial insects and healthier soils and sequestering carbon? There's so many things when you just only rely on the input side that you're missing out on this great opportunity that we have in improving our environment for the future. I believe many of you are we're all consumers, but we have such a positive message in organic. So if an organic inspector shows up at a farm and the before picture is what they see, they will be written up in their inspection report, and they will be encouraged to use the resources of the Natural Resources Conservation Service and whatever to really cover their land. But think about it. Is the farmer gaining more, for their animals by having a grass-covered pasture rather than a feedlot? Of course they are. And it's beneficial not only to the farmer, but also to the greater environment. So, I want to speak a positive message, but we also have to not be kind of mamby-pamby about it. Because we do have problems. I used to work for a group called MOSES, the Midwest Organic Sustainable Education Service, and we used to go to the large farm progress days, which moves around the state of Wisconsin and is basically focused on conventional agriculture. Like the biggest tractors you've ever seen, and 6 stories tall. I don't know, they're just ridiculous. And for the past few years, they move them around, and they've been on these CAFO conventional farms. And so they would have like a tour of the farm, and it's like, this is modern farming and all the wonderful things we do for the calves. And they basically have the calves like in a maximum security prison, where the calves are in these pens with solid walls and so high that they do not even see any living thing since they've been born from their mother until they're 6 months old. And all they hear is other calves mooing and crying all around them. The stalls are so high that they don't even see the people who are feeding them milk and water. And so this is not the one I was in, but they let us, they took us in a school bus through this calf barn that had like 1,500 calves in it. And by the time I got to the end, at the end, I'm just like bawling, I'm crying. I can't stand it to see these animals treated like this. And, I happened to be towards the front, and the extension agent's like, everything is for calf comfort. Look, there's slatted floors so they don't have to lay in their manure. And I just lost it. I couldn't stand it. So we don't do this in organic, and we have to make sure this is not what organic looks like. Because what we're doing is basically we're starting out by having mentally and physically inferior animals. And this is not the kind of food that we want to be consuming, nor the way we want to have in agriculture. If any of you believe in karma, this is not the way we want to be tied to. And if you're eating that kind of food, you're encouraging it. The same thing is with hydroponic operations. I believe those are kind of like CAFOs for plants. I mean, do you want to be, there's been studies that the food on organic farms is higher in antioxidants. Not only because there's a better balance of nutrients and more soil biology for transferring those nutrients, but that the plants have to deal with wind and sun and maybe a little weed pressure. So they have to get stronger immune systems themselves. They have some insects feeding on them. And this builds the antioxidants that then we consume and make us healthier. So if we are doing things basically growing in a laboratory, in an industrial situation, we are losing those benefits that we could have possibly gotten, in addition to all the other things. We have to look and encourage farmers and consumers that the short-term monetary gain is not worth it versus long-term resiliency and the health of all living things. I really think that with climate change and all the things that people are seeing, people are starting to learn that this year's profits are not worth 10 years from now not even having a farm or even having an environment. Although my senator, I have one good senator and one I don't get along with, but they've actually said if it's cheaper, I don't care where we buy it. We could buy all our food from Brazil, as far as I'm concerned. And this is a senator from Wisconsin. When I was trying to tell him that we should be investing in the dairy infrastructure in Wisconsin, he goes, "Well, if you could buy it for 10 cents cheaper from New Zealand, that's where we should go." I almost fell on my chair. So, soil-based agriculture and livestock production respects that natural behavior of the animal and the plants. And what is the natural behavior of a plant? It is not roots in water. It is that complex soil-based system. I was talking with someone earlier about, sometimes you see plants growing out of rocks, like along a river or a lake. You don't see those roots going for the water, right? They are reaching for soil. The other thing, too, is even at land-grant colleges and universities, the studying nature's systems can be incredibly exciting. I mean, we don't have to turn our backs, quote unquote, on technology, but learning more about the complex systems that nature has evolved over time can be really, really exciting. And I agree. If we had been spending all the money that we had put into genetic engineering and chemicals, if we had been studying natural systems, just think how far along we would be. But I'm hoping the next generation will bring us there. So it's very clear, it's clear to me that the reductionist organic regulations that only look at the inputs as what matters does not live up to the immense promise that organic agriculture provides. And I am the current chair of the National Organic Standards Board, and I have been working very hard to figure out how to get through to the USDA bureaucrats. And I've had a few small wins. I don't know if I'll be able to get hydroponic back on the work agenda, but I certainly have planted a few seeds to see if I can at least try to bring forward some discussion of some of the worst aspects of especially the container growing, where they come in and they spray herbicide and then lay down landscape cloth and then put containers on top, and then call that organic agriculture. So this is the positive message, is that organic offers the best hope for environmental balance and health for all. The humans, the animals, the worms, the birds, and nature can be very resilient if we provide the space and conditions to let her heal from the damage that we have. To me, I've seen this on my own farm. I bought a farm that was kind of old and tired and had been abused. And over time, I just can't believe I've seen the organic matter go up. I've seen the diversity. And I'm constantly planting more diverse items out there. I have honeybees, so I'm very aware of the need for pollinators. And we cannot give up on soil-based agriculture for organic, because that is truly our only hope. We need to keep spreading the good word across the whole landscape and get those, not just 5 acres here and 10 acres there, but break through to the people who are growing 1,000 acres and 10,000 acres. And some of them are coming to organic for the money. But if we can help them actually do that ecological balance that organic actually means, just think of the change that we can make. And lastly, I am very aware, as most of us in this room are, is that the USDA Organic label has been steered off of its foundational principles. But I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say we can bring it back, and that I really do see the Real Organic Project as something that to show the organic label, the people at the USDA, that it can be done, and it is being done, and it's a viable marketing system, and that we don't have to be reductionist in order to bring everyone to the table.